create window isn't done. Fuck. There we go. How do you do, everybody? The best laid plans of mice and men just show up like we're getting shot in the head by the end of it. Yeah. I mean, mild spoilers, but you know, it's an American classic. I'm guessing a lot of people probably did it in school. Welcome to
How dare you?
welcome to the Q&A session. Pop the question, whatever you want to call it, for June the 27th, last one of the month. I'm trying to host this, but I feel like we're cursed. Joining me as usual is Owen, who will probably be trying to get grips of the chat while I try and crash this to make sure we try and get buffering less for you guys.
Yeah, it's had this brilliant idea to be like, okay, we got 2 hours to kill because AJ is not going to be able to make it start at 6 like we normally do. So what we did was we opened chat up 2 hours early. It's a great idea in principle and in theory, but in execution, we're back to the drawing board. So pretty much anything that was put in our chat before 5:17, like Ashley said, has been lost to space and time.
Oh, thank you. I noticed Bry is actually putting some of their messages up from the lost gap, so thank you for that. Yeah, we've got Bry, we've got director. You can stop there, although we're on a time delay, so.
Yeah, I think I probably can say without any problem whatsoever the chat's closed. Unless Parsnip Burger pops in tonight, or if someone has any comments that wasn't aware about what we were doing, that I'll allow it, but for the most part, chat's closed. We've got a lot of things. So picture is the last thing that I saw, so this is going to make no sense to anybody listening on archive. But that ties into the other things that I have. Is that correct, Ashley?
Yeah. Well, it's all moved now. It's all moved now for me, so we're
caught up as
we're doubly screwed because.
Boom. Okay. Brian's going to use Josie's comments that he sees because Josie, of course, is finishing up Asteroid City right now, or maybe coming back from seeing it. So.
All right. So we might try and do this in order. So if you want to keep with your notepad stuff,
I'm trying.
I'll jump to now, and then Jesus Christ, this feels like I'm going into a pulp Quentin Tarantino film where we're gonna get the start, we're gonna get the end at the start, and then like go, Jesus. So
I don't know what day it is anymore. I'm scared. Well, what we're gonna do?
So, AJ's here as well. I forgot.
Jesus.
I'm good. I'm just here.
Right. So Bry started off with his new Blu-ray pickups. We have Avatar: The Way of the Water, the Boss Baby Family Business. Is that like the Netflix series?
I think that was the second movie.
Oh, over here it was just called Boss Baby 2, I think.
I don't really care enough about the Boss Baby to know the difference. But
Yeah,
I think
no.
it's the second movie.
And a proper Blu-ray of a man called Otto.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, the mic's it for a minute there because I forget because of the delay on the line. I thought my mic had died.
Yes.
A proper Blu-ray of A Man Called Otto, courtesy of Target. I'm never buying Blu-rays from Walmart again.
Yeah.
I think that Spencer one is, considering where Spencer came with the article, so I'll skip that, Spencer. Oh, and you add that to the text document.
Jesus. I hate this. I shoot hate this.
Well, there's only three Spencer comments so far, so we're all right.
I got more Spencer comments, sir.
Other than the 4K re-releases of Princess Bride and Walkabout, the newly releases for Criterion are Orson Welles' The Trial, La Bamba, and Moon Age Daydream.
Is that on here anywhere?
I'm really psyched about The Trial because the only copy of The Trial that I have is those skinny case DVDs you used to get for $1 that have 2 movies in them, and they're really, really shit quality.
Yeah.
That'll be great to finally see that in clearly.
So right, Bry's personal Oscar lineup of 2014.
Hold on. I gotta get to that.
No, I was gonna mention it, and then when we get to director and picture, you can get to the top of the text document.
I've got them all now.
Oh, okay.
If you want to read them, you can.
Yeah, because I'm at the bottom, because I'm trying to catch up on. Bry, thank you for telling us what YouTube doesn't want us to know. So for adapted screenplay, Bry had Gone Girl, Inherent Vice, Whiplash, Wild, and the winner being How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Oh my God, no! No, Brian.
You were so close to a great lineup. I mean, okay, yeah. I marathoned the trilogy when the third movie came out, and I like them better now than I used to, but I still don't think they're as great as their reputation would lead you to believe. But I know that's a minority opinion.
The other, again, these are all Brian's opinions. We understand that, but I will state right now the 4 options that he threw out, other than How to Overrate Your Dragon sequel, are some of them are some of my favorite movies of the year, including one that could quite possibly be my absolute favorite movie of the year, depending on circumstance.
For original screenplay, Finding Vivian Maya, Foxcatcher, is it Ida or Ida? I can't remember.
Ida.
Nightcrawler, and the winner, The Grand Budapest Hotel.
That's a great lineup right there. All 5 of them.
I'm okay with that. Budapest winning. I'm good with that.
For supporting actress, Cate Blanchett for How to Train Your Dragon 2, Anna Kendrick for Into the Woods, Rene Russo for Nightcrawler, Julieta Zillerberg for Wild Tales, and the winner, Erica Rivas, also for Wild Tales.
That's a pretty inspired lineup, actually.
Supporting actor, Ricardo Darin for Wild Tales, Ben Kingsley for The Box Trolls, Tyler Perry for Gone Girl, Tim Roth for Selma, and of course the winner, good old J.K. Simmons for Whiplash.
There you go.
For actress, Aki Asakura for Tale of the Princess Kaguya, Felicity Jones for The Theory of Everything, although it is noted here as a filler spot. So,
nice.
Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl, Agata Trezbushka for Ida, and the winner is Reese Witherspoon for Wild.
Nice.
That's good. I like that.
For actor, Briar's Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler, David Oyelowo for Selma, Joaquin Phoenix for Inherent Vice, and the winner is Ralph Fiennes for Grand Budapest. Bry also had the tough actor lineup. It's sad to take Carell out, and before AJ accuses me that I've bumped Steve Carell with Oyelowo, Phoenix was the one that actually bumped Carell out.
As long as Carell was in consideration, we're good.
As long as Fine's one, we're good.
Yeah.
I mean, Carell's my personal choice, but I'll definitely take Fiennes for sure.
Same. Easily.
For director, we've got John Maloof and Charlie Siskel for Finding Vivian Maier. Peter Jackson for Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies. Where'd that come from?
Oh Jesus.
Dean DeBlois for How to Train Your Dragon 2. Damien Chazelle for Whiplash. And the winner is Wes Anderson for Grand Budapest.
Okay, you made a comeback. Good.
If someone was going to beat Chazelle, Anderson's the only other option. So yeah.
And then for Best Picture, we have American Sniper. Don't worry, I know it's Sniper, but you know, it's got a doll for a baby. So, Finding Vivian Maier, Foxcatcher, Grand Budapest, Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Ida, Inherent Vice, Selma, and the Best Picture for Bry was Whiplash.
There we go.
The Hobbit love threw me off, and I still don't get the love for Selma from anybody.
Yep.
But
and then Bry's putting the Josie ones that Bry can see. Hey Popcast team, recent reads.
Hold on.
Oh, you got that?
No, I do, but let's finish the director and picture lineup.
We did.
Why is it listed here twice? Okay.
Bry just put it all.
God damn it. Okay, go to Josie's comments. My apologies, friends. It is literally trying to get these go.
Hey Popcast team, recent reads 13 Clocks by James Ferber, The Harlem Charade by Natasha Tarpley, and Mr. Cato Plays Family by Milena Machiko-Flassar. Mr. Cato Plays Family is sort of kind of a combination of Rehearsal and Man Called Over. It's about a recent grumpy retiree who gets a job at an agency where people pose as family members for a day. Milena Machiko-Flassar is a Japanese-Austrian author. Her father's Austrian and her mother's Japanese. New watches since the last Q&A. Sexy Beast. City of the Dead. Space is the Place. Lovers of the Arctic Circle. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Cooley High. And the Lavender Hill Mob.
Nice.
And then I realised I need to go to Wikipedia and try and remember what films are what, because Josie's asked me what Ealing films have I seen. So I'm trying to verify oh god, I'm looking at a whole list. This was a mistake. Well, I've seen the original Dunkirk. I'm going backwards from 58 or 59. I've seen a fair few of the Ealing comedies. I want to say off the top of my head. Yeah, Man in the White Suit I've seen, Lavender Hill Mob, Titfield Thunderbolt, Cruel Sea, Lady Killers, some of the other ones I don't, Blue Lamp I've seen, Kind Hearts and Coronets, Whiskey Galore, Passport to Pimlico, Scott of the Antarctic, Hue and Cry I've seen. Mainly some of the, I guess, the bigger ones from the 40s and 50s. Although nearly all of them were 50s, to be fair. Yeah, there's nothing I can see. Maybe The Sign of Four? Oh no, Arthur Wantner's was in that. It wasn't the Basil Rathbone stuff. So I've seen a lot of sort of the Ealing comedy stuff. I think I covered all the major ones. I'm trying to think, there's probably some that I missed. No, I don't think Life and not matter of life and death wasn't Ealing, was it? I don't think. So I've seen a few. Now I've seen the list of like how many there were. I was like, so they did do stuff other than, you know, lady killers and all that sort of stuff that you just see in the DVD sets.
More than just Alec Guinness movies.
Yeah. There's one bit of Sexy Beast trivia to add to the bit where we got to. Ben Kingsley claims that the character of Don Logan is largely based on his grandmother. So,
oh my god.
She swore like a chimney.
Ow.
And just so I can get it out of the way, Bry mentions, by the way, Ava DuVernay is going to have a new movie for Netflix coming soon called Castle, based on a book that came out in 2020, with her directing, producing, and writing. Are you excited, AJ?
I mean, it would be great if she could finally start living up to her, like, instead of doing like making Selma like a TV movie or doing A Wrinkle in Time. Like I said, I always come back to When They See Us. If she could do that, then we're good. to that quality, not like the same style or anything, but like to that quality.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, Owen, I think you've got all the rest.
I'm pretty sure I do. Good God, I don't even know where to start with this. First off, shout to Brian for coming in clutch and giving us some of the stuff that we didn't have access to during Ashley trying to get Snack Stash ready for this week. So, props there. So thank you, Josie. Thank you, Spencer Reed. Also for giving us comments and questions. And we have some games to play later tonight, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Alrighty. Who do we want to start with? And we're going to start with Josie. Fun fact, Ray Winstone was offered the role of Jimmy McNulty in The Wire. He turned down the role because he didn't want to move to Baltimore away from his family.
I'm trying to think what he would have done instead about that time. Sweeney Todd was 05? I can't remember whether that was released as a movie. I know it came out on DVD, but I swear it was a television thing. Ripley's Game would have been 02. And Cold Mountain.
Huh. Josie made a thought. I wonder who counts and tallies the curse words in movies for IMDb.
Somebody probably does. I always like it when you get the BBFC classification and they specify exactly which swear words is used in it. Because, like, in some cases you're like, why are they using that one? What context is it?
Josie asked favorite Ian McShane performance.
Ooh.
Okay, I know I should say a serious performance, like John Wick or We Are Marshall or probably something even more off the radar. But the performance I'm thinking of is in a movie that is not what you'd call highbrow, and it's a comedic performance.
Oh, please tell me you're going to say what I think you're going to say.
I think he's a large reason why Brett Ratner's Hercules is one of my great guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
That running joke where he's trying to have a stoic death and he keeps not dying is one of the funniest things ever. It's like the first thing that comes to mind when I hear his name. I can't help it.
Um, to be honest, I mean the iconic bits of television really for him. His early days of doing Lovejoy over here in the UK, which was like 71 episodes over. It was 6 series, but it was like the one series was like in '86, and then they didn't do another one till '91. So I don't know what happened in the 5 years. Then again, he didn't do any movies for between 1985 and 2000, so no clue. And then also his portrayal of Al Swearengen from Deadwood, really good.
I've made my relationship with TV in general known. But I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed that I tried Deadwood once and I couldn't get into it.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's just like my relationship with TV, where it just in general TV is like really hard for me to get invested in for some reason. Even though they give you so much time to get invested in, for some reason it just doesn't work out for me most of the time.
I could just. Hercules is a great answer. I can't top that. And maybe it's recency bias, and it probably is, but John Wick.
And I say there's so many probably John Wick fans and fans of his extensive TV work heard me say Hercules and they're like, what the fuck? And they just left. They're never coming back.
I'd say him and David Harbour were also the only good bits to come from that Hellboy reboot.
Yeah.
They were like the best. Everybody else was just forgettable, but he was good, and David did the best he could with whatever that script was.
I would have to obviously throw another shout out to another solid animated performance, and that would be Coraline.
Oh yeah.
I also forgot he was the villain in the original Kung Fu Panda.
That's right.
Yep. I forgot he was in the newest Hellboy, and I'll bet he prefers it that way.
I'd say that's a good bet. Birthdays today: Tobey Maguire, Isabelle Adjani, Tony Leung, Drake Bell, her, the late John McEntee, and the late Christoph Klasowski. Thoughts on the Academy's new theatrical eligibility requirement?
I hear these new rules, I just think, how much of a difference is it making?
Yeah. The fact that it now has to play for 2 weeks rather than 1 week. I guess it means it means all those films that are coming out, right at the end of the year just to get the week's eligibility are now going to have to open, the same time as, insert Avatar film or insert whatever the Christmas big sort of blockbuster is.
So
every year now.
This has not come across my Twitter feed recently, basically because I've been losing my mind in the last couple of days anyway, and I've not really paid attention to anything other than the fact trying to win a copy of Fight Forever. Needless to say, Ashley knows he's doing the same thing. But the thing about it is that does this give me a better chance to see these movies theatrically?
Well, the key technicality is it's the certain markets.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's just LA and New York. It might. I didn't see anything about like the regions being any different, but I would have thought Florida. I was thinking I
specifically saw the words expanded release. Needs to be a certain length.
I hope so, because if this is going to help me be able to see more films theatrically that are going to be awards contenders and solid, serious awards contenders, and not just throwaway awards that don't matter, I would be very happy with this, because everybody knows Owen doesn't like to stream.
You usually have good luck, it seems, anymore. It's just sometimes you have to wait for something to come back around at the very last minute.
Yeah, I kind of miss out on like the indie film that I don't think about, and then it becomes something later on. And Josie, you'll bring it up in a few minutes. I know you're not necessarily here yet, but I'm probably listening on archive. But I will state right now that I feel that's going to be the way with how Beau is Afraid went. If it ends up getting award contention for one thing or another before the year's over, then I at least have seen it in a theater.
When I saw that, it was like, you must have a particular amount of time in your expanded theatrical release. I feel like a higher up at Apple burst into flame.
Probably.
Apple's distribution fucking sucks in all aspects.
To be fair, I got lucky in movies that are like Netflix, because Netflix and Apple, because I was able to find a cinema. Granted, it's not the AMC I usually go to at Disney Springs, but there is a theater that I can walk to that I can guarantee every single awards season, and it's never failed. There is one movie that eludes me that does not show up in the Best Picture marathons because it is a company that is not affiliated with AMC. They don't have distribution through AMC theaters. And I almost guarantee that's exactly what's going to happen again, no matter what it is.
I fear in that respect, you may have got screwed on Nimona. You know, the new animated film that was originally Blue Sky. That's like,
dude, animated doesn't bother me anymore because there's no way to see them all theatrically because they don't run in theaters.
Yeah, as I say, well, it says it released in select cinemas, and they're sticking it on streaming Friday. So,
I mean, seeing like Elemental and Spider-Verse and everything, I'm sure they're going to get nominated for animated, but it doesn't matter because there's always going to be one or two things that are streaming only that are going to screw me.
While we're on the topic of shitty distribution and Apple in particular, I'm just going to take a moment yet again to scream into the void. Sure. That Criterion needs to be picking up Joel Cohen's Tragedy of Macbeth as soon as possible.
Also, can they?
I will not. I refuse to rest until that happens.
Also, can they stop Disney Plus? Can they revert Disney Plus's change and actually put, the racist slur because it makes sense in context because it's a film from 1972? And not remove that. I saw a big thing about that over the past couple of weeks when somebody noticed that when Popeye refers to some trustworthy criminal by the M word, that's now been removed from the Criterion Collections site, which everyone's like, William Friedkin's just gonna have a field day with this.
Probably. Josie continues, the other day at a grocery store, I saw a man wearing an Oppenheimer shirt. I'm talking Cillian Murphy Oppenheimer. Before I see it, I'm going to rewatch the episode of SpongeBob Dying for Pie. Oh boy. It seems like it. Honestly, I might as well throw you the Iggy right now and pay attention to right now because you might get a SpongeBob discussion on this network one way, shape, or form before this year's over.
Or, less than 3 months from now?
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a circumstance to do a SpongeBob video finally on here, and AJ can finally get his words out on them.
It's not related to the show.
Nope.
I know that was talked about recently. I just want to make sure it's known that it's not that.
No.
It's the
But
DLC
if
for
you're
Power
looking for
Simulator.
that, you're getting a taste of it.
Here's the thing. Just do the math.
Yes.
It's not about the show. And there's 3 movies, and 2 of those movies have already been talked about. So there's only one thing left.
That's right. There are theories that sea life became mutated after the atomic bomb. Perhaps SpongeBob and his friends were a result of that.
I feel like I've heard that before, actually.
Weird. Imagine Cillian Murphy's Oppenheimer opening up a bakery called Atomic Pies. AJ right now is channeling his inner Al Borland. He wants to say, "I don't think so, Tim," at this point.
I just didn't know what the long pause was, and then I looked up and Ashley was gone, so I didn't know what was going on.
Well, you don't even know I'm even here. I'm just a disembodied voice right now, so it's okay. By the time this video is over, I will have gotten out of Asteroid City, and don't be surprised if I later talk about it as my favorite movie of the year. Yeah, Josie, I can see that happening. Next to Suzume, Beau is Afraid, Spider-Verse, and Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. I have a real special place in my heart for Suzume because it reminded me of a time after a personal crisis and the passing of my father. So more thoughts. In order to have more acting nominations from international films, members of the writers and directors branches, which include a lot more international members now, should vote for acting performances because they are the ones who write the material for the actors and tell the actors what to do. I think a new branch in the Academy consisting of people who work in curation, preservation, boutique, Blu-ray distribution, Criterion, Arrow, Kino, have them vote for every category. Thoughts?
It's not unreasonable.
No, not at all. Real quick, because we're here, and I might as well take it because it's the only context that makes sense. I don't think there's any more SpongeBob conversation. Brian says, speaking of SpongeBob, I found that Nickelodeon actually made 2 real-life game boards based on 2 game boards from the show The Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt from ARG and Eels and Escalators from Sailor Mouth. Both game boards Hot Topic exclusives, both their stores and online. Really want the Flying Dutchman game board so I can send AJ to the brink for being a bad pirate for saying F you to me yesterday. Just kidding.
I assume that's supposed to be the brig.
Yeah, I would. Yes.
I would hope it's actually set up to where the game in that episode is when you dig up the treasure, it's actually buried under a little pile of sand, and you literally dig it out.
Awesome.
I always thought that was like that's the coolest feature of that game.
All right. We're gonna jump around a little bit on this. Now we'll just go in order. Recently, we talked about our favorite factory scenes in movies. I think we talked about it a couple times, actually. Josie. One we haven't mentioned is the Fairy Godmother's factory in Shrek 2 and the String Factory in Mouse Hunt. I love how Lee Evans' suit gets torn apart.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting and random question. Favorite car repair scene in a movie?
Well, I would say there's a hilarious one in Asteroid City, but it's a stretch to call it a repair.
No, it's definitely not a repair scene.
I didn't realize how much I needed Matt Dillon in a Wes Anderson movie until today.
Dude, tell me about it. I can't wait to watch it again on Friday. Do we have any answers?
I just keep thinking about dismantlings because now that the phrase just been brought up, that's in my head. There's a car repair scene we should have had, but we don't. because I've always been kind of put off that John Leguizamo disappeared from the John Wick franchise after he assesses the car in too. I'm answering in every way but what the question's asking for.
That's what we do here.
I mean, if we're talking about sort of in a car workshop, the the drugs discovery in French Connection 1. Just
Yeah,
because
that's
I
what I was talking
swear
about, dismantling.
that touch when they get the blooming gun on the rocker plates and it makes the same sound as the bloody soundtrack. I'm trying to work if that's on purpose. But
I don't know the answer for this. It's not a car repair scene, but oh my god, Wendy Malick in Moving Violations with Fred Willard.
yeah.
AJ knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Why am I only... Does it say something destructive about my personality that all I can think of is dismantlings and destructions of cars over repair?
Oh.
No, there aren't that many. I mean, I was looking through IMDb listings, and like most of them are sort of like 80s sort of B movie style stuff, like Orgasmo and things like that. So it's like there ain't a lot of car repairing that happens in films apparently. The only ones of note that I see are the mechanic scene in Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah.
There's I think something car repair related in Doc Hollywood, and then of course the car repair in Christine, probably being the most iconic one.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's the definitive answer. When Christine repairs herself.
The only problem is I also have Rodney Dangerfield's Guide to Auto Repair.
But and by the way, I feel like it's also a stretch to say the repair and Vacation was a repair. That's being very generous.
Oh, incidentally, Brian does chime in and says I'll send a link to the game board on the Discord server for both of the games.
Nice.
That's cool. Josie continues, and this is the Josie show for a bit. Favorite sleepover scene in a movie? Obviously, the answer I'm going to have to go with is the Pink Ladies in Grease. Do we have
I like the scene in the Little Rascals that's going back and forth between the boys' sleepover and the girls.
Oh, yeah.
There's the moment where they're saying, like, girls do this and boys do this. And then after one of the boys do this things, it cuts back to Buckwheat just saying, "No, we don't."
I do like the.
That might actually be my answer.
I do like the bit from, I think it was Wreck-It Ralph 2, when Vanellope gets on with all the Disney princesses.
That is a great scene. Yeah. It's all the original voice actors.
That's why it was like. That's why it was like really liking it, because it was like using all those, you know, probably like this is the first thing that they've done major in years in some cases.
Well, we go from sleepover to sewing.
Fight for it, Batman Returns.
That's a good one.
Because sewing machines are... I don't know if it's because... I guarantee this is because I grew up with Batman Returns. Sewing machines in any context have always been really sinister to me. They're just such a horrible accident waiting to happen.
I mean, Batman Returns is the quintessential answer for sure, but the Disney fan in me can't leave without throwing out Cinderella there.
Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, Pretty in Pink's a great option too. I'm seeing a lot of these popping up when I look at the.
I mean, I was going
Thank
to say
you,
Phantom
Google
Thread.
searches help me with questions.
I was going to say Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread was up there
Okay,
too.
it's sort
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
it's a bit obvious rather than an actual scene, but.
Speaking of Cinderella, what would happen if the mice worked for Reynolds Woodcock from Phantom Thread?
I'd watch 24 hours straight of that.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Just give it to me, like pump it into my veins, like Diet Pepsi and Pepsi mixed.
Because I assume we're under the impression it has the tone of Phantom Thread.
Oh, for sure.
Which is still darkly comedic, but
yes. Oh,
the mice are basically the star of Cinderella. If you rewatch that movie,
100%. PTA's birthday is tomorrow. Josie asks, says, I've been watching Blue's Clues on Paramount Plus lately. Can't help but wonder the science behind salt and pepper having children, paprika, and cinnamon. I wonder if the entire world is in Steve's head, like a hallucination.
I mean, he is a musician. They go to dark places sometimes.
Yeah.
Part of me feels this is the red pill and the blue pill, right? Is this where I find out that the Matrix is real? Because of Blue's Clues.
It's like the land of make-believe in Mr. Rogers. They bleeped out dolphin noises in SpongeBob. It's most certainly the F word. F sauce. Since Krabby Patties are called Krabby Patties, I wonder what specific meat they're made from. Crab meat would be cannibalism.
I mean, that would just be another reason to make the formula as secretive and guarded as it is. If it's something really fucked up, it's like Soylent Green in the SpongeBob world.
Dear God. So Soylent Green is SpongeBob, just like Gravity Falls is David Lynch for kids.
Is that why?
And what if?
Is that why the TikTok trend of having the grimace shake and them owning up dead is inspired by it?
I will say that. Oh, real quick, since you brought that up, the grimace shake is not on this channel. It's not going to be on this channel, and the reason why is other than a slight smell and aftertaste of grape, it is a vanilla milkshake. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't need a video, so there's a reason why I don't have one.
There was that episode where Mr. Krabs tricked Plankton into thinking that the secret formula was plankton.
Yeah.
But it was just a prank. But that's one of those things where it's psychotic enough to do that at all, even to plankton, to where is there a sliver of truth in it? Because we were talking about the whole cannibalism thing, where it's like maybe it's not plankton, but there's still some kind of cannibalism going on.
Sure. And my knowledge of said SpongeBob has to do with the musical and the comments that are made on this show. Because other than, I think I watched a few episodes because of AJ back in the day on YouTube. Other than that, I never really got into the show. Josie apparently is continuing to watch more Nickelodeon. I've also been watching Hey Arnold. That's another one I never got into. I love how Hey Arnold captures city life, not shying away from harsh realities of economic inequality. And incorporated diversity before it was cool. Loving also how Rugrats made the adults just as interesting as the babies. I wonder how did Stu and Dee Dee mate?
Yeah, that was something I never really realized until later in life, how well for the most part, how grounded in reality Hey Arnold is.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few episodes of Hey Arnold that have ghosts in them, but apart from that,
just a few. It's okay. It's weird to think about, like, because like Rugrats was my jam when it first came out, and it's crazy to think what kind of things they said on the show and got away with that were so many like double meanings to things and really funny, like not lowbrow humor that they went for. Rugrats also has more commentary here. Charlotte, of course, Angelica's mom, talked about Jonathan all the time. I wonder if they had an affair.
there's an episode devoted to Jonathan, and I don't know. I don't get that vibe, but
So you're saying he's more like Waylon Smithers?
Yes.
yeah, he's just kind of a pushover.
Yeah, like Smithers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much talk about selling out these days. If you guys heard Sell Out by Real Big Fish. Josie, I have seen that live. When I went to Warp Tour, the final year that they did Warp Tour here in Orlando, and because water parks were playing, so of course I had to go. I remember getting in the venue, and the first band I got to see was Real Big Fish, and I was really excited to see them because I really enjoyed their music. Obviously, the basketball soundtrack and everything, and I wish I had video of it. I filmed all of Parks' set, obviously, and even the acoustic set that we got in like the bowels of a basement somewhere and at the venue. But I will say right now, yeah, I like RBF a lot. They're solid, and Sell Out is a great song. In the beginning, they're working at a fast food restaurant, flipping burgers. It's shot like a fake sitcom called As the Fish Turns. They were approached by a record company executive with a suitcase of money, and a music portion of the music video begins. Yeah, that's how the video goes. Josie says, I thought I had last night after Movie Club. Imagine the dating game is one of the stations on Stay Tuned. Whew. I love Stay Tuned, Josie, a lot. And we will talk about Stay Tuned on here eventually. Again.
I will say we have.
It'll come up eventually again. Get a little, like, there's a video that exists. Check it out. The cool thing is, what if there were an app for calling superheroes to action, like Uber Eats, Grubhub, or DoorDash? What would it be called? And even better, customers can rate the superheroes.
I don't know how effective that would be, because they'd always be occupied.
This, Josie,
There-
this...
Because
Got it.
that seems like the kind of thing that would have a waiting list, and needing a superhero is not a waiting list thing. It like it would be it's like, oh, thank you, my crisis was 2 months ago. We almost died, but we're all good now. But thanks for making your appointment.
I feel like, honestly, the way that the movie flows, if you want to have like an app where you can call on superheroes like an Uber Eats or a DoorDash, I feel like it'd be in the Kick-Ass universe.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think that's the first thing that popped into my mind. Speaking of something that's having to pop into my mind this week, Dial of Destiny's coming out, which we're all so excited about. Thoughts on Presumed Innocent regarding Henry and Patriot Games? Oh, and Witness too. Sorry for that.
Witness is great. Witness is so
is
good.
really good, yeah.
Presumed Innocent is good. I remember I have it in a 2-pack with Frantic, and I watched them both the same night. And I remember liking Frantic more, but Frantic is more kind of constantly moving. I feel like I'd probably like Presumed Innocent more now because it's more deliberately paced. Regarding Henry's the kind of movie that could have been embarrassing and could have just been like you could see their intentions, but it just really didn't land. But I actually really like that movie a lot, and I feel if it was anybody else other than Nichols, it might not have worked out. But because he would have the skill that he obviously had, that was what you needed to make sure that movie worked and wasn't embarrassing for everybody involved.
Brian,
As far as Patriot games goes, I think it's kind of a Frantic Presumed Innocent thing where I used to like Patriot games more than Danger, but I think that has changed over time, and Clear and Present Danger is much more enticing to me. But I like the Patriot games as like grittier and like because obviously Patriot games is like an R-rated movie and Clear and Present Danger is like a standard PG-13 kind of thing. But I don't know. Yeah. Patriot games is more simple, which I actually usually tend to go towards more. But like I said, I actually prefer Clear and Present Danger to it. So.
From what I remember, isn't that where we actually got the first introduction of Sean Bean dies in every single thing he's in? Because he was the main villain.
If it wasn't, it was really early.
Because I don't think his character died in How to Get Ahead in Advertising.
Quick comment before we go any further into Josie's questions. Apparently, Brian did not like Ralph Breaks the Internet.
It's fun. If you're gonna compare it to the first movie, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But
there's some good
standing
scenes
by
in
itself, it's fine. I feel like the thing that I really did not care for in Ralph Breaks the Internet is them feeling the need to break up Ralph and Vanellope. When the ending of the first movie is so poignant when it's like they're in separate places but they're always there for each other. It feels like it completely does away with that, and that I don't know why they felt the need to do that to make it this separation movie.
I guess I'm just still a tad bit frustrated that they didn't go for the obvious title of Ralph Wrecks the Internet. I hated the Ralph Breaks the Internet name when I first heard it on Twitter the day that the movie got announced.
It is it's very reliant on us.
Oh no.
Where Wreck-It Ralph was kind of. I mean, you had the other video game characters in Wreck-It Ralph, but most of Wreck-It Ralph is its own creation, and obviously Ralph Breaks the Internet is. Let's see how many references we can fit into this.
The one thing I remember the villain of the first Wreck-It Ralph. I can't remember whether there was a villain in the second one.
If there was, I don't remember.
It fell into it fell into the crack of like Moana having no villain and Frozen 2 having no villain and a lot of the things where it's just like it's a learning experience. Like that isn't how these things go.
Yeah, I only remember the two of them being separated being the main conflict. I don't remember if there was like some sort of antagonist or not, which says a lot, I think.
Josie asks favorite Jack Ryan movie. Harrison Ford version.
No, Clear and Present Danger. I just said that.
Yeah, Clear and Present Danger.
Actually, I think
just about ahead of Patriot Games.
Yeah, I'd say, well, I was gonna say Clear By Nature might be my favorite overall, but The Hunt for Red October is great.
So, favorite. I'll word it exactly how it said. Favorite scene involving a toilet.
The first two that immediately jump to mind are Train Spotting and Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't for me. It wasn't Lethal Weapon 2. It was Who Does Number Two Work For from, I think, Austin Powers 1, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's great.
The best, probably the best scene Tom Arnold ever did in a movie.
Yeah.
And that includes True Lies. I mean, Train Spottings isn't pleasant by any means, but it's that whole movie's creative vision is so wild. I actually just rewatched it like 2 weeks ago,
Nice.
and it's as amazing as it's ever been.
I am doing my everything to stay away from exceedingly overrated raunchy toilet scenes as much as I can. Honestly, the Jackass movie.
Oh, we have to throw Dumb and Dumber. Oh God.
The Jackass movies when you just walked into a porta potty and you never knew what was going to happen to the poor schmuck that ended up walking into it. Either going to get lifted in the air, flipped, or it got blown up. I mean, I would say the Jackass movies in general when it comes to toilets.
I was just getting ready to say
it.
I was just getting ready to say I love Dave England, and I also hate Dave England.
I hate Dave England too for that reason.
I also want to give credit to the toilet scene in Nice Guys when Gosling's like trying to keep the door open for about 20 seconds.
And obviously, we can't forget about the greatest movie that's ever existed in the history of itself, Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah. I also like the quick scene in Elf when he looks over the stall and he says, "Have you seen this? It's amazing."
So good. Favorite computer malfunction scene in a movie?
A scene that always made me laugh was in License to Drive when Corey Haim gets mad and hits his computer and they all go out. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I like how Ferris's number is literally ticking away of how many times he's made a school, like right in front of Rooney's face. It's like 9, wait a minute, 8, 7. What's going on? And of course, the gimmick of Office.
Yeah,
100%.
Is you could say HAL 9000 turning evil is a computer malfunction, right?
I was looking into 2001 right there. Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. I like that.
That's probably the answer.
Josie does have a theory that Pete Mitchell is Waldo Pepper reincarnated.
It's an interesting theory.
I was dead at the time. I don't know. So Josie did something. There's a video that exists on her channel that she did her personal Oscar lineups for the first time watches she did for the school year of 2002, 2000. Take a shot. 2022, 2023. I want to go through those results skis real quick. Oh my dad, I can't even read that. I'll try. Best sound mixing went to Koyaanisqatsi. Quatsi?
No, none of those.
How is it said then?
Koyaanisqatsi.
That's cool. I'm just
It's
trying to
the
sound it
Philip.
out.com.
It's the Philip Glassville.
Cool. Speaking of Waldo Pepper, sound editing. Streets of Fire's Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young is the best song. Best editing went to Altered States. Original score went to Grave of the Fireflies. Listomania is best costumes. Best production art design. Best production design / art direction. Playtime. Cinematography for color is The Color of Pomegranates, and black and white was Vampire. 1932's Vampire. Tokyo Godfathers won best original screenplay. Blanca Guerrera won for Santa Sangre for best supporting actress. Best actress went to Mala Powers for Outrage. Best actor went for Ivan Dixon for Nothing But a Man. Acting ensemble went to The Celebration, which is Vinterberg. Best director was Roy Anderson for Songs from the Second Floor. Best picture was The Fast Runner. Antanarwat, Narjat, The Fast Runner from 2001. And as I went through it like super fast, thoughts on the winners?
I'll have to have Ashley take this. I was distracted because I'm looking at my internet connection right now, and it's like low, and it's like staying there, and I'm waiting for it to go out and piss me off.
I'm not.
I'd say that's generally a good list. I don't think there's anything that sort of massively stands out in terms of being a massive sort of missing thing.
Josie portion of the buy one, rent one.
Uh-oh.
I did hear that editing went for Altered States, which I think is amazing.
Nice. Rhode Island. You got your paper?
Yeah.
All right. Safe Men, Witches of Eastwick, Dan in Real Life, Dumb and Dumber, Reversal of Fortune, American Buffalo, Outside Providence, and Osmosis Jones.
All I'll just say, the first thing I noticed is there's a lot of vomiting in these options.
You're not wrong.
Like, I have all the respect in the world for the Witches of Eastwick, but I almost want to count it out just for the ending.
Been a minute.
I mean, Dumb and Dumber is probably at the top, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. For me, at least.
I feel like Safe Men with that cast was not the movie it should have been. I feel like it's mainly known as like, oh, you look back and it's Giamatti and Rockwell and Ruffalo, and it's like, oh, these are all people that you could see them about ready to break out, and it's great. But like the movie itself isn't that standout.
Okay.
Osmosis Jones was always a guilty pleasure, but well, it wasn't a guilty pleasure at the time because I was a child. But I have no idea how it holds up because I only hear negative things about it now.
Yes.
But as when it came out, I guess I would have been like 13 or something. I saw it like all the time on the movie channels.
Right.
I assume most of these were Farrelly Brothers movies, so.
I don't know what I get rid of. That's the problem. Because I haven't seen everything that's on this list except for the ones that I would have in contention.
Rent means temporary, so I'll go ahead and put The Witches of Eastwick there. Even though, like I said, that ending is my worst fucking anime.
Sure.
I don't really know what I'd get rid of. Maybe. It's funny, apart from that shoulder getting puked on, I don't remember much specifically about Outside Providence. But I remember liking it, I think.
So, in essence, it's like Deep Blue Something with Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I think I missed some. Do you want to run that list down one more time just to
Yeah, I can do that.
confirm what I'm getting rid of?
Safe Men, Witches of Eastwick, Dan in Real Life, Dumb and Dumber, Reversal of Fortune, American Buffalo, Outside Providence, Osmosis Jones.
I forgot Dan in Real. For obvious, even though she's barely in it, I have to put Dan in Real Life at least at Rent. The scene at the bar where she's like crying is hilarious. The thought of her ending up with Dane Cook is a little weird, but obviously her aside, Dan in Real Life is really good. So and Peter Hedges is a really underseen writer director.
Okay.
And he gave us Hedges, which is great.
Okay.
I would buy Dumb and Dumber, rent Witches of Eastwick, and probably get rid of Outside Providence. Because at least, you know, there's some craft going into Osmosis Jones in animation. Outside Providence was just thoroughly sort of wangling Rhode Island way too hard. Because that was like the year after Me, Myself, and Irene, I think.
Isn't that also one of those ones where it's like? Isn't it one of those ones where it's a different director? I can't remember if they wrote it or if it's one of those things they just put their names on. I can't remember.
Yeah.
They
no,
might
it was a Farrelly script. Well, it was a Farrelly novel that was adapted. He wrote the script for it, so whether it's just, you know,
maybe
Michael Carante like not getting it, because like it's weird, because like American Buffalo is like, for what it is pretty good, because of course it's, you know, it's a very slim cast, but you know, he's really done nothing. The most notable thing I can see on his blooming filmography is he was in Kingpin and Shallow Hal. That's about it.
I think I'm gonna discard Save Men, because with that cast, that movie should be more memorable than it is.
All right. I don't really have one I can get rid of. That's the problem. Because the other options, there's things I haven't seen. Dumb and Dumber is obviously the correct answer for me when it comes to buy. I guess we'd rent Dan in Real Life, and I'll help you out, AJ. We'll get rid of Witches of Eastwick. So thank you, Josie, for providing a lot of really great comments and questions as always, and hopefully you enjoyed your trip to Asteroid City. Like me and AJ did, clearly.
I don't.
Go ahead, AJ.
I don't think I'm certainly a fan of Asteroid City.
Yes. I cannot wait to see it again this week. If anything, I might watch. I'm probably gonna watch it second or probably third, because I don't know why, but for something about it, I'm really like not in a hyped, but I'm interested in Ruby Gilman.
Okay.
I know it's weird. I mean, it's gonna wash the taste of Indiana Jones out of my mouth, so we're good. I mean, I don't think I have to necessarily watch it, but I don't know. We'll see. Thoughts on Tommy?
Say that again, you cut out.
Of course I did. Thoughts on Tommy?
We were talking about Rugrats earlier, so you're gonna have to be more specific.
The 70s movie. The Who film.
Okay. I remember Nicholson was there for a little bit, and I remember the baked beans. Elton John's in it too, isn't he? Yeah, he's the.
Yep.
That's what opened Glastonbury this week.
As you can see, my memory of it is very sporadic, so that's about where it's at. It's another one where I don't think I saw it at an age where I would have appreciated it, so I need to see it again. But as of now, I've got certain images in my head, especially the baked beans, but that's about as far as it goes.
It's so good, and it's such a product of its time, and it's got so many iconic performances in it from great musicians.
It's adapted and directed by Ken Russell. What do you expect?
Yeah, there's nothing bad about it at all. I've always loved Tommy.
Actually, come to think of it, being a Ken Russell movie, maybe it's a compliment that I say I remember it as sporadic imagery.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, actually.
Well, of course, because it's a music album as well. It's basically sort of track by track transition. You know, you go from like Pinball Wizard, and then within. Oh no, Pinball Wizard is right after Tina Turner basically dopes him up on drugs with like this weird sort of like Metropolis style sarcophagus that he gets enclosed in.
It's so damn weird. But it's the Who, so what do you expect? It's so good though. I remember really digging it back. It's like obviously it came out like right before I was born. So it's something that my mom, who is very well versed when it comes to music and got me into a very eclectic format of music and comedy moving forward when I was a kid. I grew up on a lot of stuff like this, and I love Tommy. Tommy was great. I remember watching it we watched it in school, actually, weirdly enough. We got permission to watch it in school. That would never fly nowadays. But yeah, we got permission to watch it in school back in the day, and I remember really digging it. We watched it, like, you know how when you watch movies in school, you'd watch it like a little bit one day, a little bit one day. You basically just watch it in parts. Yeah, that's what happened with Tommy.
And you'd always see like the last 5 minutes of what you saw the day before, and then you'd come back around.
I distinctly remember that with both Forrest Gump and Schindler's List.
And Margaret got an Oscar nomination, right? For the kind of movie that it is, that's a pretty inspired nomination.
I mean, she won the Globe.
The bit I love the most about it is from the switch to the album is the Tommy's holiday camp bit towards the end. On the album, it's sort of like "Good morning, campers," like high pitch from Keith Moon. But like,
yeah, of course,
5 or 6 years has taken its toll on him. So he's just like smoking a fag on some organ that's going through with like a bus behind, going, "Good morning, campers."
And the album is something I listened to a lot when I was growing up. So yeah, I knew that soundtrack by heart back then. Love Tommy. Tommy was great. Worst acting in a sci-fi movie. Okay, fine. We'll just go ahead and do this easier. Worst and best acting in sci-fi movies. These are all Spencer Reed questions.
Best is a lot easier because there's probably a lot of shitty acting throughout the history of sci-fi.
I'm looking at you, Mystery Science 2000.
When you say best performance in sci-fi, the first performance that popped into my head was Hugo Weaving in The Matrix, the first one.
I still have never seen that movie.
His scenes where he's like torturing Morpheus and he's monologuing are spectacular. Inception is sci-fi, right? Yeah.
I would consider such, yes.
Cillian Murphy is incredible in Inception.
Yes. This is turning into like a Cillian Murphy love fest right now.
As everything should be.
I am okay with that.
It's a long time coming.
And I'm super excited. So every time we bring up Cillian Murphy, it always reminds me the story I have, and AJ knows where I'm going with this, I think. So somebody that AJ and I used to know a long time ago went to a movie, and we went to see 28 Days Later. And it was deadly quiet, obviously, like everything had happened. It's deathly silent in the theater. And out of absolute nowhere.
That scene always got a little overblown, I think, because every time I've not even just that story, from multiple people I've heard about the car alarm going off in dead silence.
Yep.
It's not dead silent. The score is brewing in the background when that scene happens.
Sure.
But yeah. I always see that scene as people like creating somewhat of a false memory, but yeah.
That scene is not a false memory, and that story is not a false memory.
Just the dead silence is a false memory.
That is the correct statement. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Favorite campy performances?
Oh God, where do we start?
Honestly, also out of recent.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
I've got a couple right now off the top of my head.
Okay, I just rewatched Phantom of the Paradise a few days ago, and I would like to nominate everybody that's in that fucking movie.
Good God.
Especially, oh fuck, what's his name that plays Beef? Garrett Graham. Yes, Garrett Graham in Phantom of the Paradise, especially. But obviously, Paul Williams and William Finley are right up there also. That's just that. Here's the thing. Nicolas Cage says that he goes back to Phantom of the Paradise when he needs inspiration. That tells you everything you need to know about what that movie is.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And it's always, I recommend this if you ever have a fucked up sleeping schedule or insomnia. Every time I've ever seen Phantom of the Paradise, it's like 3 a.m. And that is the time to watch that movie.
All right.
But yeah, the list is honestly endless for great campy performances.
I have a couple that immediately came to mind when I was thinking about it.
I mean, there's some stuff that I just like. If you ask anybody else this question, the first thing they're going to bring up is Raul Julia in Street Fighter.
That's a. Yeah.
While I love what he did, I don't think it saved that movie.
No.
The way people say it does. I love that he went that far, but it's not something that stuck with me. The only reason it sticks with me is hearing other people quote it and bring it up. But for me, it didn't really have that feeling, unfortunately.
Part of me,
My go ahead, Ashley, because I
part
haven't.
of me
I'll
wants
go
to
last then.
mention, like, for good ones, Silver from Skyfall, because he just plays
Yeah.
that the right sort of, not like overly camp to like make fun of his, bisexuality and whatever, but like there's enough like nods at the head and sort of like the bit where he obviously sort of touches him on the thigh and like he's surprised that Bond like doesn't go like get your hands off me, you bastard. And like, oh, he's into it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a great performance in multiple facets, but I definitely say it's fair to say there's definitely camp in it.
I would have to throw out 2 heel performances right away. I'm gonna go with Christoph Waltz in the Green Hornet. Love Bludnovsky. And Richard Roxburgh in Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
I love the
that
Duke.
is Richard Roxburgh and Moulin Rouge is peak camp, and I love it.
Oh,
when you said Waltz, I was surprised you didn't say Inglorious, because that's very camp.
Yeah. I mean, I am very excited that there is pretty much about a 100% chance, and I've mentioned this on here before, and now I can officially say it. I've been begging for Moulin Rouge, the Broadway show, to come here to Orlando, and I finally get my wish the beginning of next year. So I'm finally going to get to see the play properly, and I'm very excited for this.
I'm gonna have so many more answers to this question. I'm gonna be so mad there'll be ones I didn't mention. But I do have 2 more shout outs for campy performances.
Go ahead.
Bette Midler and Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, I'll yes.
And you know what I honestly really loved? And it's honestly the only reason I even remember this movie. No, I guess you could say the whole time. I was gonna say once he's unmasked, but you could say the whole time. Joseph Gordon-Levitt in G.I. Joe,
yeah,
is one of those performances that screams, "I'm already in this movie. What do I have to lose?" and I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm gonna be so pissed because there's so many great ones that we're forgetting right now.
What did you send me? What did you post, Ashley?
I was talking about the whole cast of Phantom of the Paradise. We could probably throw in the whole cast of Rocky Horror while we're at it.
Oh God, yes. Oh, don't worry. Once we're done Spencer Reed, I'll go in to Brian's game, and then we can take it home. Favorite movie narrator?
When anybody says narrator, the first thing I think of is Alec Baldwin in Tenenbaums.
That's a great one. Wes Anderson is a great answer, period, when it comes to narrators in movies.
You know what? You know which one really warms my heart whenever I think about it? John Hurt narrating the Tigger movie.
Huh.
I don't know. That's just so perfect to me for some reason.
I mean, Sam Elliott's a big one, obviously.
Oh.
Sam Jackson's a big one.
Yeah, I was trying to remember documentary. Werner Herzog in general.
Morgan Freeman from March of the Penguins.
Oh dear God. Tom Hanks. Duh. Ewan McGregor.
For Train Spotting, yeah.
I was going Big Fish myself, but that's okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes though in a fair few of them.
Obviously,
my mind just played Ewan McGregor pinball because because since you, Owen, said Ewan McGregor, I thought you were saying for Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
Then Ashley said Ewan
McGregor. Yeah. And then I said Big Fish.
Oh, Leota and Goodfellas.
Oh yeah, that's listed on here.
I mean everybody in Goodfellas, but Leota specifically. And De Niro in Casino while we're at it. And DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street while we're at it.
Yeah.
De Niro in The Irishman while we're at it.
All right. Favorite Betty Davis early career performance? These are all Spencer Reed questions.
Dark Victory always stood out to me. We've had this conversation when we went to that screening of All About Eve, and the presenter was there.
It has been a minute. Oh no. Did we lose you? Okay, you're still there.
What happened?
Now we're good.
Did my Betty Davis through?
Yes.
Okay.
Spencer.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to tell the anecdote about when we saw All About Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And that presenter was asking their favorite Betty Davis movies, and everybody was blanking and just saying, this one. And then he gave up, and he asked me a different question. I can't remember what. And then after I answered the question, I said, oh, and by the way, mine's Dark Victory. And he looked grateful that I kept him afloat, I guess.
Some of those things we did when they did those little things were so hokey, and no one wanted to play along. And
I remember they did that for when we saw The Conversation.
Right.
He was doing a summary, and he was saying Gene Hackman doesn't think he's listening on The Conversation, and then potentially witnesses a murder. And the guy in front of us got so pissed off because apparently he hadn't seen it and thought that was a massive spoiler.
God. Yeah. Crazy. So
I thought that presenter did a good job. I tried to have his back when I could.
You did. Everybody else did not want to play.
Because he presented when we saw The Searchers too.
Yes, he did. Favorite? Oh, and, wow.
What was that?
No, go ahead. You were about to continue.
No, I was going to say also when we saw Some Like It Hot was that festival too.
Yeah, true. So we've got Patrick Wilson questions. And Spencer literally said, talk about the greatness of Patrick Wilson, please.
He's good. I feel like it was around the time The Conjuring 2 came out, this whole Patrick Wilson circle jerk started.
Right.
Because he's kind of awful in Watchmen.
Yeah, I love Watchmen.
But other than that, he's really good at playing sort of ambiguous and hard candy.
Yep.
Where you're not sure which one of them is crazier the whole movie. I think that's also a testament to that movie's writing though. But hard candy is awesome. Well, yeah, he's good. I think he plays best when he's cast as a character that's kind of intentionally bland, like in Little Children, because
Mm.
it's like he knows what he looks like. He knows what he looks like, and he tries to play to that, where he kind of just looks like your generic dad, kind of. But yeah, he's got a likability to him that comes through a lot. I think young adult comes to mind too.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't go like crazy for him or anything, but I like him. So
We continue. Thoughts on Patrick Wilson directing The Red Door?
do you guys not have Patrick Wilson thoughts?
He's a good hand. You know, if you need a
That's
good
a great way to
role,
put it.
he'll give it his all, even if it is Wonder Woman. Oh no, wait, was it Wonder Woman or no? Aquaman.
Yeah, it's Aquaman.
Yeah.
I love The Conjuring. I do greatly. Probably one of the best horror movies of our time, and it's one I can actually return to, unlike Sinister. Um, I will say right now, I was never a big mark for the Insidious movies. I hated the first one, but the second one and the subsequent sequels or requels or prequels, whatever you want to call the franchise at this point, are fine. They're decent for what they are. I mean, he's somebody that sticks out. So he's not somebody that blends into the background. He's somebody that showcases his performance as best he can. He does well with what he has.
I'm curious what you think of Insidious now, because I don't think you were as into horror as you are now when it came out.
You're right.
Because I didn't really like Insidious the first time either, but since then it's really grown on me. And it's like I could say you could almost lump it in with like the quintessential haunted house movies.
Okay.
And I can tell you it's significantly better than its sequels. Because Insidious 2 was basically just The Shining after a while,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and they never really broke away from that by the end of that movie. 3 and 4, I don't even really remember. So I'm not really attached to Insidious enough to have passionate thoughts about him directing, but it seems like a promising place to start because Lee Wanell started directing with Insidious 3, and he's doing really well right now as far as building on his talent. So hopefully he'll be another Lee Wanell where it's like Insidious 5 will be whatever, but then he'll be able to, once he can show that he can direct, he'll be able to kind of do his own thing, which I'd be very interested to see, especially with the director he's had experience with, and Jason Reitman.
Spencer asks favorite scene in each of the Insidious movies.
Some people say the first Insidious jumps the shark when they go into the further. I kind of really like that part. How it just kind of gets crazier as it goes.
Mm.
And that place where like the lipstick face demon lives is so there's something so weirdly bizarre about that scene that I love. And I know people hate it, and I think they think it's showing too much, maybe.
Pause.
I don't know. I just like bizarre that scene got. It's so they kind of captured something dreamlike with it, which seems like the point.
I would say that's a good bet.
I also like the scene. The scene is really well done where Rose Byrne sees the little, I don't know if you call him a ghost or a demon or what, dancing through the window. and then she goes through the house for a very long time until he pops out of the wardrobe.
Right.
That's a very well done scene. Juan is really showing his magic in the first Insidious, where he would really master by the time The Conjuring came around.
Yeah,
Like I said, I don't remember 2 through 4 well enough to pinpoint a particular scene.
that's
My
fair.
only concern with the new one, as it is from the screenwriter of Halloween Kills and Firestarter, which were really sort of disappointing over the past couple of years.
Oof.
Oh, and he's doing David Gordon Green's Exorcist film as well.
Believer. Wow, that would have been topical.
There's usually cases where a screenwriter will do shitty horror movies, and just when you have a firm opinion on them, they'll do something outside of horror, and you realize they're amazing.
Right.
But the fact that this guy is staying in horror makes me unsure if he's going to be that guy. It's like, oh, we've been proven wrong before. They were just doing stuff for money, but
he started off with a drama, and he did the Hal Holbrook Mark Twain documentary thing that was like 10 years ago, and then since then he did The Quarry, which was, I guess, mystery thriller, so I guess that wasn't horror. But practically, Halloween Kills, Firestarter, Insidious, Red Door, and Exorcist Believer.
Oh, we'll see, I guess. David Gordon Green Exorcist would have sounded amazing prior to Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. maybe it still will be. Maybe it's better when he's not doing sequels. Maybe it's better. I mean, obviously, technically, his first Halloween is a sequel, but it was the start of its own sort of thing. So, if his Exorcist is anywhere near the quality of his first Halloween, it might be okay.
The fact it's supposed to be coming out in October, and it's supposed to be the first of a trilogy, and they still haven't put a trailer out for it, makes me think they're worried, considering how many trailers we had months and months before the Halloween films.
So the thing is that they have shown some really rough footage, and they've had to do a bunch of reshoots because it didn't go like they wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question now is the footage they showed, is it actually great and the audience were idiots? Or did it start off bad and it's going to get better? Because both of those things have happened many times.
Also correct. I don't really know the answer to that question. Doesn't look like something.
There's been a lot of cases. There's been a lot of cases where they probably had something great, and then a dumb test audience made them dumb it down.
Yep,
has probably happened a lot.
Favorite fast food drive-through scene in a movie?
The two that immediately come to mind are, it was Wayne's World 2, right?
Yes.
And then Dude, Where's My Car?
Ready to Rumble.
Well, yeah, and American Beauty comes to mind. Both of them in American Beauty come to mind. Because it's a great payoff when he gets to catch Benning and Peter Gallagher. But I also like the first one where she says there's no management positions, and he says, "Oh, that's okay. I want is the least amount of responsibility I can possibly have."
Yeah, I think Wayne's World 2 would be the go-to for me on that one as well. And we are moving on. Ashley, do you have an answer? Fast food drive-through scenes in a movie?
Movies doesn't come to mind. The only thing I think of drive-through is that scene from whatever that mission is in GTA San Andreas, with Big Smoke's order that's like longer than the Old Testament.
And of course, Don Cheadle.
Yeah, I was waiting for. It just occurred to me. The drive-through is mentioned, so they do have one. We never get a drive-through scene in Good Burger, do we?
We don't.
That's really weird, come to think of it.
I think Clerks 2 is a good answer.
Over 25 years. What was that?
Clerks 2 is a good answer too, but the problem is there's really not a drive-through scene technically in that. You see Elias on the headset, but you don't necessarily see him at the drive-through. All right. Movie that taught you something very valuable.
Very what?
Valuable.
Well, I've said before that I think seeing Forrest Gump a bunch of times so early in life is why I've feared death my whole life.
Possibly.
The personification of that movie is basically everyone you love is going to die eventually.
Yep.
So, I think, well, coming to that conclusion is terrifying. I guess I like that I became terrified of it so early, so that I could live life accordingly.
Okay. I'll be topical and just not elaborate at all and just say Silver Linings Playbook.
You'd say it taught you something, or
I think
what was
so.
the question?
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, and we're not going any further in that. Oh, Spencer asked if there's a character in a movie you'd want as your brother or sister.
I know there's a really obvious answer to this, and I'm blanking on it.
Is it bad that I just want to say I'd rather just be an only child? I've seen the good and bad that can come from having a brother or sister, and I feel like it's not something that I was meant to have, no matter if it is fictitious or not.
I'm trying to think of somebody that could be like really protective, like physically, like.
Well, like world beater or something.
I was gonna say his character in Warrior, but he might be hard to live with or be around regularly and have. He's very, I mean, for clear reasons, he's kind of emotionally distant for many reasons.
Like saying Derek Vineyard.
Well, there's certainly a difference. Because Hardy in Warrior is plagued by war and having been raised by Nolte's character, who is this unforgiving drunk. Derek Vineyard post prison, yeah, assuming that alternate ending never happened. Yeah.
That's what I was going. I was going with him after he came back from prison.
Oh, okay. As long as there's no chance of relapse. Well, no, I don't want that either. He's got way too many enemies by that point.
Oh yeah, good point.
After he turned on Stacy Keach and Ethan Suplee, he's got a huge target on his back.
Yeah, that's right. Crap. Yeah, that doesn't work.
That whole party, that whole party was ready to kill. The ending is so tense because you think everybody's coming for him.
Thoughts? Wow, this is an odd one. Spencer apparently has been watching some Disney movies lately. Thoughts on sequels to The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and thoughts on Pocahontas?
What was the first part of that?
Thoughts on Little Mermaid sequel, Return of the Sea, thoughts on the sequels from Aladdin, and thoughts on Pocahontas.
I don't think I saw the Little Mermaid sequel.
I have not.
I always much preferred Return of Jafar to King of Thieves. That's the name of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. King of Thieves always bored me.
I can see that.
And Pocahontas is fine. It never really. The music is decent, but I was never really that into it. I saw it quite a few times, but it didn't really stick in the way other movies in the Renaissance era did.
I also agree with that statement. Ashley, feel free to chime in if you have an answer.
I don't think I saw either of the Little Mermaid sequels, because yes, there was a third one as well. For some bizarre bloody reason. Return of Jafar was stronger because it did feel like it was actually I know it was only sort of like 70 minutes or whatever, but it felt like it could have been on the big screen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is weird because, of course, that means because King of Thieves was the one where Williams came back, wasn't it? With a voice.
Yeah.
And then with Pocahontas, I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's never sort of, it never had sort of any that much connection over here because it's a very sort of American sort of heritage thing. Okay, it's about the sort of colonial sort of side of thing, but it's one of those stories that's sort of not mentioned that much. You know, it delivers and everything. I'm pretty sure that had a sequel as well. I vaguely remember at the back of my head Pocahontas 2. Which ironically I think was actually released in cinemas. They didn't put it to DVD. I think. Because it doesn't say straight to video.
I will say that the only ones I can remember watching when it comes to like the Disney straight to DVD, straight to VHS sequels would have been Cinderella movies. Those are the only ones
I haven't seen it, but I've heard really good things about Cinderella 3.
It's real good, man. And the animation just still holds up too.
Lion King 2 was pretty good. The Goofy movie sequel I think was pretty good.
The problem I have with the Goofy movie at this point is I'm so fed up with everybody in the world marking out for Powerline that I can't take anything else from that movie, no matter how much I remember enjoying it. AJ, you look like you say something.
No.
All right, good.
I vaguely remember also liking the Atlantis sequel, because I think Atlantis is the Atlantis film and the director video ones are kind of underrated.
Never saw the original Atlantis. All right. Here's a fun one. Favorite movie, dork, or geek?
Q from the Bond films. He's geeky as all hell.
I was going a completely different direction. Whether we're proud of it or not, I feel like everybody has some sort of connection to Ducky and Pretty in Pink in some way.
100%.
Then if you want to talk about like crushes or something, Rachel Lee Cook in the first, well, no, I guess most of She's All That comes to mind, because she's mostly the geek and She's All That, right? There's just like only a few scenes where she's kind of got the makeover, as it were, where she looks better as the geek.
Yeah, I can see that. Obviously,
obviously. Are you about to say Dawn Wiener? I feel like you are.
Yeah, that's a great one. Velma, Linda Cardellini, and Scooby Doo.
Yeah. The thing about Dawn Wiener is she might be one of the more sympathetic characters. Her entire family are pieces of shit, and the movie's almost infuriating because of it.
Yeah,
it's hard for her real personality to even come through. Because, yeah.
There's a lot of really good answers to this one, and I'm probably not jumping out on me. Daria comes to mind. Like Daria.
Carlton Banks.
What?
Carlton Banks.
Carlton Banks is a great one. I mean, Michelle Flannery. Obviously, I can't throw that one out.
Yeah.
Because it's me we're talking about.
It's the quintessential band geek.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's Flaherty.
It is Flaherty, which is hilarious if you really think about it.
Yeah.
TV connection there. A lot of people are like saying say McLovin.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I love the origin story of why Bill Hader's wearing glasses in Superbad.
Oh yeah.
because he had in real life, when he was like a teenager, he had a run-in with a cop, and it was like the time he got in trouble by the cops in his youth, like the time, and the cop he got in trouble with had glasses, and his friends made fun of him for getting busted by a cop that looked like a nerd. So that's why Bill Hader wears glasses in Superbad.
2 questions from Spencer Reed, and we're going into the Brian game. We're going to take it home. Spencer asked, movies that aged poorly that you thought were funny.
I feel like this is a tricky question.
It totally is.
This this question's a trap.
Yes.
Anybody? Anybody want to kind of open the gate on this one?
I want to say Sex Lives of the Potato Man.
What?
Please elaborate.
Remember? Well, say remember.
Probably not.
There was a big thing back in the 70s of basically softcore sort of British comedy porn things. Robin Asquith did a heck of a lot of them. They were like Confessions of a Window Cleaner or Confessions of a Milkman and whatever. And they decided to. I think this was at the same time that they were like considering doing yet another Carry On film, even though Carry On Columbus sort of sank, pun, like in the 90s. But yeah, it was Johnny Vegas and Mackenzie Crook as, I think it was just them two mainly, but it was sexual antics of a group of potato delivery men. And like, I guess it makes sense for the Robin Asquith sort of 70s ones, because it was in that sort of time when I guess it was more getawayable, but you could get away with it some more. But like they basically took the same sort of script and thought was okay to do in 2004. There's a reason it has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I don't know. You say that, and you say the concept, and it's like, what the fuck? But you also said Johnny Vegas and Mackenzie Crook, and I immediately thought, I think I'm in. Whatever it is.
It says a lot that the DVD cover says could be the lad's film of the year, and nearly every lad is like, no, no.
I think that's a good way to cap off that question.
Yeah.
To some extent as well, going back to Carry On, considering how it was sort of like light-hearted smuttiness, and then they decide to do Carry On Emmanuel, which you can guess from the title is what that was parodied in. Like, where did that, like, who thought that was a good idea?
All right, and the last question for Spencer Reed for this week: scary movies that age badly.
So, would that make them unscary now?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like movies that started off actually scary, and then as time has gone on, it's like they don't hold up.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't understand this question.
That's how I take that. I think that's how I take that.
Okay.
I know there's got to be like a major answer to this. There's some parts of The Exorcist. Not like the whole thing, but some things. And I say that as somebody that's still genuinely creeped out by the crab walk, which everybody says is the cheesiest thing. Like I remember when we saw The Exorcist in the theater, and her flopping on the bed the first time got like a big laugh.
Hopefully it'll do better this year. I think I have an answer for this. Okay. I'm good with that. All right. Thank you, Spencer. And we end the show tonight with the Brian Oscar game. Best original song of the 1990s. Oh, incidentally, ironically enough, starting from 96 to 99, 4 of the songs written for bad or mixed reviews movies were written by the branch's favorite songwriter, Ashley Say It.
Diane motherfucking Warren.
Exactly.
Yeah, the songs I had no memory of, I went back and I was gonna listen to them, but I ended up kind of skipping through them just to kind of say, oh yeah, it's that song. When we get to that second half of the 90s, they really start blending together and they all sound the fucking same.
Okay. So we have the winner, which was Sooner or Later I Always Get My Man from Dick Tracy. Or would you go with Blaze of Glory from Young Guns 2? I'm Checking Out from Postcards from the Edge? Promise Me You'll Remember from Godfather Part 3? Or Somewhere in My Memory from Home Alone? Jesus, that's a little bad list.
No, it's fine. Somewhere in My Memory is fucking beautiful. So I think that would be my choice. The thing is obviously Dick Tracy is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with that song winning.
Yep.
But like I said, Somewhere in My Memory is just so fucking beautiful, I have to say that. The Godfather song could be boring if Harry Connick Jr. wasn't so fucking awesome. Like I feel like Harry Connick Jr. is one of those voices that could have been just as famous like 70 years ago as he is now. I love that Bon Jovi's an Oscar nominee.
That's what I was gonna say. It's hard not to go with Bon Jovi here.
That song does kick ass.
Yeah, it does. And it still does too.
And Meryl singing during the credits of Personal Memory Edges is also good. And Shel Silverstein's another one where it's like it's amazing he was an Oscar nominee. But yeah, Somewhere in My Memory is kind of like an easy choice to me. So okay. Yeah.
And we move on.
Did Ashley say?
I'd probably stick with Sooner or Later just because of the concept of a Madonna song that's written by Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah.
I love that this Madonna clearly wants an Oscar. And I love the fact that 2 of the winners are sang by her. But she still doesn't have an Oscar.
Yeah.
1991. Such a wonderful year. Gave us the win for Beauty and the Beast. But would you choose Belle and Be Our Guest for Beauty and the Beast? When You're Alone from Hook? Or the quintessential elevator anthem, Bryan Adams, Everything I Do It For You, for Robin Hood and the Prince of Thieves?
Let me say this right away as somebody that has seen Hook 200 times.
Jesus.
That's not a real number, but God, it's got to be close.
It's close.
From childhood.
Spencer, that's your challenge for Pacific Heights.
Our VHS was literally worn out by the time I got a DVD. That song is the most pointless scene in the movie, and the only reason that song is even in the movie was so they could get one more Oscar nomination.
Yep.
That. Bryan Adams honestly has a nostalgia factor for me because this song and his other nominated songs that are in this list in this decade were on the radio constantly.
100%.
Pretty much any time I was a kid in the car going somewhere, we probably heard Bryan Adams, so I just have a nostalgic thing with him.
That's fair.
But they picked the right winner.
Yep.
But Belle would probably be my second choice.
I think I've heard Be Our Guest because of Voices. I've heard Be Our Guest so many times now that it's like ad nauseum, but I still like it, and I still think it's an awesome performance in every way I've seen it. I've seen it on the stage. I've seen it in live action format. I've seen it in animated format, and it always hits. I agree with you about Bryan Adams. He's got a lot of like heat when it comes to like music critics on the internet and everything like that, and some of his stuff can get a little schmaltzy, but this song is perfect for what it is, and I really have enjoyed that song growing up. But yeah, they picked the right winner, 100%. Speaking of picking the right winner, probably my favorite Disney song all time.
Are you about?
92.
Are you about to skip Ashley again?
I
want to take it home. I'm sorry.
I feel Be Our Guest is a stronger song than Beauty and the Beast.
Now, here's the question: are you going with the solo version of Beauty and the Beast, or are we going with the co-branded song with Beauty and the Beast? Because obviously we know it's the duet is what got nominated, but the Angela Lansbury version also hits just the same in a different way.
They're both good. They're not Be Our Guest though.
That's also fair. All right, like I said, because I don't know how to do things properly. Speaking of my absolute favorite Disney song of all time, Regina Belle and Peabo Bryson, or Brad Kane and Lea Salonga, depending on which version you're looking at, A Whole New World from Aladdin. But you also had Beautiful Maria of My Soul from the Mambo Kings. Friend Like Me, another Voices song I've had repeated ad nauseum in my head for the rest of my life, and one of the best Robin Williams performances that exists on planet Earth. And both Run to You and I Have Nothing from The Bodyguard.
Well, shout out to all 5 of these for actually having context in their movies.
Right.
And not just being random.
Correct.
The Mambo Kings especially, that song, it's like the last scene of the movie. That, in the context of the movie, that song is really powerful and sad.
Sure.
Which I feel like should be taken into account. The bummer of this is that my 2 favorite songs from Aladdin are One Jump Ahead and Prince Ali.
Yeah.
And they went with 2 other ones. I'd probably say the Mambo Kings here, actually, especially like I said, when you look at the context of the movie, which should be more important than it is, apparently.
Honestly, this is a year that I kind of wish that Aladdin didn't come out in this year, because if I had to pick one that wasn't Aladdin, we definitely would go with I Have Nothing, because that's such a showstopper from The Bodyguard. And I've always loved that song. But yeah, A Whole New World, when it comes to Disney songs, it is the gold standard for me, and always has been and always will be. I even performed it during a mini version of the play when I was a kid for younger kids, which was a fun time. So yeah, I would definitely say that's my answer. Ashley, what are you going with?
I'd stick with A Whole New World.
Okay. Another great year, 1993. Bruce Springsteen, Streets of Philadelphia. Solid song. But would you choose The Day I Fall in Love from Beethoven's Second, the Neil Young Philadelphia song, Again from Janet Jackson from Poetic Justice, or A Wink and a Smile from Sleepless in Seattle?
Streets of Philadelphia is basically a perfect song.
I agree.
And I feel like it won in a landslide.
Yeah, there's no competition.
It's even the music video is one of the most chill things I've ever seen.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's already as powerful as it is, it's a chill song, like sound wise. And how the video is just him walking around Philadelphia just singing it. It's like it might be one of my favorite music videos ever. And the Neil Young song is nice, but Streets of Philadelphia is its own on its own planet.
There is no legitimate competition for Bruce Springsteen here at all. I like Again. I do.
Another one where.
What did you say? I didn't hear what you said. You said something, and I didn't understand a word you just said.
I was getting ready. It was an incomplete sentence. I was going to say Springsteen's another one of those cases where not only is it the song so deserving, I just love in general the fact that Springsteen has an Oscar is great.
I'm totally good with that. All right.
Yeah, the boss all the way.
Yes. So, I have a feeling AJ's going to have quite a thing to say about this next year, 1994.
I have two things to say about this year, and they're pretty to the point.
Definitively, the winner, of course, Elton John's Can You Feel the Love Tonight. But also defeating Circle of Life and Hakuna Matata. And Make Up Your Mind from The Paper. And Look What Love Has Done from Junior.
Okay, my first point is fuck this category for making Junior an Oscar-nominated movie.
That's fair. That is totally fair.
Secondly, we actually just had this conversation in a recent Q&A.
Yep.
I have no problems with Can You Feel the Love Tonight as long as we're talking about the one that Elton John actually sings during the end credits, which is significantly better than the one that's in the movie.
Agreed.
Like in the actual scene in the movie. But my choice would be Circle of
Life. Fun fact, which I don't know how many of you know, Disney's Hollywood Studios did the American Idol experience for a while. And it's the venue that they're doing Frozen now. Ironically enough, somebody that is involved in both of them still does Frozen to this day. But at any rate, getting on the American Idol stage was something I was able to do twice. And this actually was my tryout song for American Idol, which was Circle of Life. And like I said, I've been on that stage twice, so that should tell you how well I did. And speaking of that,
and shout out to Randy Newman did the Paper song, right?
You are correct.
Yeah, all the Randy Newman inclusions in this decade are strong, but there was just always somebody a little stronger.
We're about to get to one in a minute, actually. But yeah, I've done Circle of Life. I've done Can You Feel the Love Tonight. Honestly, I feel like my voice fits Elton John very well because Tiny Dancer was my tryout song as well. So
Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Yes, 100%. Saturday's all right for fighting. Anyway, yeah, honestly, you can't go wrong with any of the Lion King songs, but I feel I would have to say that the real version from the credits would be my winner.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing the version that's in the movie by any means.
It's just not the same
because that's still obviously. The version that's in the movie I would hear in my head when I would have crushes as a kid. But
yeah, I've been there.
I just feel like Elton John's voice. Yeah, you just cannot beat the version he actually sings.
Not at all. Ashley, answer.
Circle of Life.
1995. Colors of the Wind took it home. Song that I've been hearing pretty much my whole life. Springsteen tried to take it down with Dead Man Walking from Dead Man Walking. More Bryan Adams from Don Juan DeMarco. Not to be confused with Josie's shoot name. Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? Moonlight from Sabrina, another John Williams score, and the quintessential Randy Newman Disney song, You Got a Friend in Me. Another song that has been repeated ad nauseum from Voices of Liberty throughout the years that I cannot wait to hear again.
It's hard. You kind of want to say You Got a Friend in Me, but also it's like that song is ruined because every time I've ever heard somebody do an impression of Randy Newman, it feels specifically directed at this song. This would be the time I'd probably give it to Bryan Adams because this is a pretty weak lineup. Because Colors of the Wind is fine, but I mainly associate it with Pocahontas' trailer.
Yeah.
Because Pocahontas' trailer Lion King VHS, so I saw it. I saw the trailer for Pocahontas a lot more than I saw the movie itself.
I'm gonna have to go with You Got a Friend. Give Randy Newman a freaking Oscar.
And I gotta say, despite what I just said about how amazing Springsteen is and how much I love Springsteen, I don't love Dead Man Walking song, and I just don't think it's my kind of song.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Ashley, what's your choice?
I'd go with Toy Story.
Okay. 1996. Madonna wins for You Must Love Me from Evita.
Wow.
I mean, her vocal one, she did.
Lloyd Webber and Rice won.
Yes. Up Close and Personals, Celine Dion, Because You Love Me. One Fine Days, For the First Time. A Song from Mirror Has Two Faces. More Bryan Adams, but this time with Barbra Streisand, and I finally found someone. And the theme song to That Thing You Do.
Yeah, this is another lineup that's really underwhelming. The is really strong as a whole.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just because it's relatively fresh in my mind.
Sure.
Because if you've watched That Thing You Do in the last year or two, the song's going to be fresh because you hear it so many times.
Yeah.
But I'm tempted to say Evita, but I think the answer in my heart is That Thing You Do.
I actually like all of these songs, at least partially. But there's no other answer than That Thing You Do for me.
Yeah. I think it's also because That Thing You Do feels unique. And like I said, this is about where, like, you have Evita and you have That Thing You Do. The other Wayne are they're kind of starting to all blend together for me. And it's like I can't even really pull them much apart.
I mean,
as we go through the decade from here.
It doesn't help that the only reason that song exists is because they want it to get in the Oscars, because everything else is already established.
Yeah.
So it can't be considered an original song. Just like how they added the one or two new songs into the Aladdin reboot, because all the original Aladdin songs had already been covered in '92.
And those new songs in Guy Ritchie's Aladdin are fucking boring as shit.
All right. Ashley, you have an answer?
I'd probably go with That Thing You Do.
I mean, everything on this list is something that was repeated like over and over on the radio, except for That Thing You Do. And
which is interesting. Interesting given the plot of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I finally found someone with a song I kind of connected to immediately, and I ended up buying the soundtrack and everything like that. But everything else I could hear like constantly on the radio. except for that thing you do. Speaking of Celine Dion, 1997. Obviously, My Heart Will Go On won. Defeating Journey to the Past from Anastasia. How Do I Live from Con Air. Miss Misery from Good Will Hunting. And Go the Distance from Hercules.
I love how many people do not know How Do I Live comes from Con Air. It's most people that have probably heard that song don't realize Con Air's the origin story of it.
It's weird. It's like I did not realize that was a thing because I thought everybody realized it.
Maybe in '97 they did.
That would be correct.
Yeah. Not to diss any of the songs in this lineup, but My Heart Will Go On's fucking iconic. There is no other answer.
I like how
it doesn't matter how many times. It doesn't matter how many times you've heard it. That song's fucking iconic, and that's the end of it.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention I really enjoyed How Do I Live when it came out, and I never was like the world's biggest mark for Hercules. It's one of the ones I didn't get into until later. But Go the Distance, very solid number 2 here. Yeah, there was no way Celine Dion wasn't winning this. This is the iconic movie song of our day.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I'd have to say Titanic, but Hercules would be a close second, and I think How Do I Live should be disqualified because the version everybody knows didn't appear in the fucking film.
You're not wrong.
Disney thought she's 14. How would she know about living?
God dang it!
What's the version everybody knows? Because the one in the movie I feel like is the one I've always heard.
No. The version that got a lot of airtime over here was the original one, the Leanne Rimes one.
Right, that's the one I know.
The one that featured in the film was by Trisha Yearwood. But nearly everybody thinks it's a Leanne Rimes song. Because basically it was. It was originally supposed to be written for her. Cool? It's just Disney, pulled a, oh, we don't like that. No.
See, okay. So I know where AJ's coming from, and I'm sure AJ's used to hearing the Leanne Rimes version because that's what everybody else remembers. But yeah, I know what you're talking about with the Trisha Yearwood version. It does sound a little bit different.
I was gonna say, I honestly, they must sound really close because I would have never guessed the one in the movie and the one we usually hear are different.
Well, the quote, according to something, was Yearwood's version utilized a more throaty country western vibe. Whatever that means. The version that just got played over and over on the radio over here was the Leanne Rimes one.
That's the one.
It was pretty much that in the top 10 with, Titanic for about 2-3 months.
But this probably also has a lot to do with the fact that I've seen Con Air so many times, and I honestly can't tell you the last time. Probably throughout my childhood, I'm sure so many, but I'm not sure I can tell you the last time I heard the song outside of the movie.
Sure.
So that probably has a lot to do with it.
All right. So we move on to our next year, which is 1998. Prince of Egypt won with When You Believe, beating The Prayer from Quest for Camelot, Soft Place to Fall from The Horse Whisperer, more Randy Newman, That'll Do from Babe Pig in the City, and my personal answer, and the one that's the only one that's connected with me in this entire lineup, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from Armageddon.
Yeah. It's seen it. I think the song is seen as cheesy now with Armageddon's context.
Sure.
but because isn't it playing when the animal cracker scene happens, which isn't doing it any favors.
Yeah.
I love the Randy Newman song from Babe, which is probably my answer. Though I will also say that the journey is way too beautiful of a song to be in Quest for Camelot. It feels like it accidentally ended up in that movie. And honestly, The Prince of Egypt never did anything for me. I know that's sacrilege, kind of literally, but that movie just does nothing for me at all.
All right, here comes the year that I remember this award. But before we go further, yeah, I'll tell you my story real quick.
Oh, good.
Not too long. Don't worry. The abbreviated version. I don't want to miss a thing. Obviously, it had a personal connection to me. I did not go to dances growing up. Never went to one. Ended up meeting a girl online from New Jersey, which ended up being a pattern later in life. At least partially. And she actually came to visit me in Manhattan when I went up for a broadcast journalism trip to New York. And we made a plan to go to senior prom, which is the first dance I'd ever go to, and it would be my senior prom. And the whole night, it was like cluster world order, like trying to find room and everything. There's people everywhere. And one of the only things I can remember memories about it was I Don't Want to Miss a Thing was like our song. And I remember us dancing to it, like slow dancing to I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And that's always going to be a memory I'm going to have. Because I don't have memories growing up, but I do have that song at senior prom with the girl that I thought that I was going to be with forever.
This isn't saying too much, but you've talked a lot about how you think certain portions of your life would make good movies.
Yeah.
That sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
And it's funny because...
like I can literally visualize that whole scenario as one movie. And it would work.
And it's funny because after that was done, that was the only dance we had, and then we ended up leaving the prom early, and we ended up going to the playground and taking like pictures on the slides and the swings and things like that. It was a really cutesy moment.
Where it'd basically be like the ending would basically be the ending of Angus, just instead of Fade Into You, it's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Yeah.
That's your climax.
Exactly right. So yeah, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing has no competition for me here at all, and never will. No matter if Aerosmith ends up succeeding in life or Steven Tyler gets canceled someday, at the end of the day, that music is iconic and will always live on. What do you got, Ashley?
I'll probably stick with Prince of Egypt.
Fair. I hate this next year because this is the year that I actually paid attention. I remember this award ceremony.
This is a fantastic lineup, but at the same time, my choice has no competition.
So obviously the winner is another song that has been again drilled into my head because of Voices of Liberty. They do a lot with the Disney Songbook. It was part of the stuff that happened after Carino when everything opened back up. There was a segment that was called the Disney Songbook, and it was more Disney music than Americana. So I got to hear a lot of this Disney stuff like throughout the time for Voices sets that were not in the Rotunda, not inside, but of course outside in the American Gardens Theater. And You'll Be in My Heart is a song that I've heard 1 billion times. And I love Phil Collins a lot. He is amazing. And I'm still butthurt that I missed getting a chance to see him live because I don't have money. Needless to say, he won. deservingly so. But it's competition. More Randy Newman from Toy Story 2, When She Loved Me. Music of My Heart from Music of the Heart. And two songs that I absolutely love. And the one I'm very happy actually got a theatrical performance on the Oscar stage from Robin Williams. And that's Blame Canada from South Park. And I can't, with the love that I have of this movie, there's no way I can't like throw a shout to Amy Mann from Magnolia. Save Me, of course, getting nominated.
Phil Collins is fine. I never had a connection to Tarzan in any way, but it's
It's the song.
And it's kind of, even though I have said not very complimentary things about her as an actress, the fact that it's like an ode to Lily Collins is also heartwarming, I guess.
Sure.
But I said it's a great lineup. I just rewatched Music of the Heart, and it made a nice shock surprise end credit song.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 is one where it's great with context. But for me, it does come down to Save Me and Blame Canada. Blame Canada is interesting because so many of the songs in the South Park movie are so outlandish. When you're watching the movie, Blame Canada might not stand out as much. So Blame Canada is like low-key brilliant, you could say.
Sure.
I especially love the very last part of it, when it's like the moms are saying the quiet part out loud, but they're singing it out. But when I said I have a choice and there's no competition, that would be Save Me. Because you could get up in arms and say that Save Me is just an end credit song.
No.
But it's playing as the movie's wrapping up.
Yep.
And then it plays through the credits. The thing about that is that cut to the end credits is one of the best cut to end credits of all time. And that song has a lot to do with it. So that's easily my choice here.
This is not easy for me. Because I love You'll Be in My Heart, and I greatly enjoy Blame Canada. I think the fact that I've heard it a billion times thanks to Guardians is the reason I'm not going to throw any shouts to Gloria stuff on ever again. Toy Story 2 never really connected with me as much as the originals and the other sequels did, weirdly enough. I don't know why.
It wasn't until adulthood that Toy Story 2 finally hit me. So it just takes time, I think.
But yeah, I mean, I love this movie, and we've talked about it on the network. There's videos that exist. Spencer, you haven't checked it out, go ahead. Give you a free one there. I love Magnolia. And that song just hits. And Save Me is the correct answer here, 100%. Ashley, you get to take it home. What do we got?
I just about edge it to You'll Be in My Heart, but it's bloody
fair.
Close between that and Save Me and Blame Canada. Like, those three sort of really, get me every time I hear them, obviously in different ways. I only just found out that Blame Canada now has a new lyrics to reflect the Canadian wildfires is causing all the smog in New York.
Oh God.
Dear God. All right. Brian asks, choose a category and decade. We have makeup and hair, sound, visual effects left. after we finish these 3, we're going to go in the same rotation of the categories we did. So,
okay.
But what we'll do instead is pick a decade for film editing. Don't choose now because we got these 3 categories to go, so pick. Well, it is Indiana Jones out this weekend, so we're cracking the whip, aren't we, Brian? Let's go.
The issue with the other 2 is there's not a lot of meat on the bone for a lot of the years. So to keep the meaty stuff around before those categories, disappear.
Sure.
Let's go with 1960s sound. And because there's only a few years where it happens, add in the sound effects / sound mixing as well. Because they're like one or the other. They're only like short things. Because when we get to the 70s, they're all just best sound because the sound effects are all special achievements because nobody else was nominated.
Sound of the 60s is going to be our topic for 2 weeks from tonight, actually. That should be right. No. Monday. I'll get it in a minute. Don't worry.
July the 10th.
I feel like
No, yeah.
that it makes sense to do sound from the 60s after this because I feel like sound in the 60s was probably pretty musical heavy.
Heck yeah, let's go.
If you make sense.
That's why I didn't go 50s. 50s I think was a bit too musical heavy. Whereas I think you've got an interesting mix of like some musicals in the 60s, but then you've also got like some more of the iconic sort of blockbuster sort of things mixing in.
So,
and we definitely didn't want to do sound in the 30s and 40s because that's when sound had like 15 slots.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
That is spoilers for your stuff over the upcoming weeks, Bri. Sound from the 30s and 40s is exempt. We are not covering it.
Yes.
Especially when you get to the bloody, the the 4th Academy Awards. It literally just goes to the Paramount Sound Department. They didn't even give a chance to films. It was just like, give the fucking studio the award.
Nice. So it is official. Sound of the 1960s and Brian's personal lineup of 2015. That is your show. First off, I want to thank Brian. I want to thank Josie. I want to thank Spencer Reed for their comments and questions in chat. If you want to join us, come free every single 2 weeks here on the Popcast Network. The only reason why we're here on Tuesday is because of the only thing that I'm going to skip out for our AEW pay-per-views. So you don't have to worry about that next month. So you're looking at July. So your next shows, we're going to go into that right now. So July 9th will be the next edition of Popcast Movie Club, episode 33. That's Ashley's pick.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley, what we'll be talking about on Sunday the 9th?
The rise of Michael Rimmer.
All right.
I don't think it's an exceptional thing, but I think some of the subject matter is interesting.
July 10th, we're back here for another Q&A show. And then that would be July 23rd, my pick of Snake Eyes. I can't wait to talk about. And of course, we have the aforementioned QA show on the 24th. And then once we get into August, then we'll have a whole brand new list of movies to pick from and a whole brand new Popcast movie clubs to do. So we got that to come. And a lot of course, AJ content coming your way as we move on through the god-awful summer and we get into the fall time. Because don't forget, starting in August, we're back at it again with the White Vans. Top 8 for the Academy Awards. Our predictions start at the end of August, right before Halloween Horror Nights begins. Should be a fun time. Ashley can be found on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley's snack stashes are forthcoming. You'll be able to see them this week. So stay tuned for those. AJ, of course, just like Keith Richards, cannot be killed by conventional weapons and also cannot be found on any form of social media. If you'd like to leave him a comment, you're more than welcome to do so in any video, as well as you can tweet me if you'd like. It'll get back to him, no problem. And there's also a way to contact AJ. Come to a live show and leave a comment there. You can correspond with AJ. He's back here again with more movie reviews. I believe next week is when we're going to kick off our next movie review as we move into the month of July. He looks apprehensive when I say that.
It's just whatever they are is to be determined.
Movie reviews are forthcoming of stuff you haven't seen, stuff you probably forgot about, and stuff we forgot about, and stuff that could be very important very soon if I have my way about things. Needless to say, that's coming your way very soon. More AJ's movie reviews, more verses, and also stay tuned because if you love AJ content, September and October are your months, as you already know. I can be found on Twitter at SirOwenDisney, and hopefully you'll see my face the next time. And if you know what that means, then that means that I'll have good news. And if not, then you won't see my face for quite a while. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks to everyone in our live chat. Thanks for everyone watching in archive. And if you didn't have anything to say and you just wanted to chill out and enjoy a show, we appreciate you guys and girls out there doing that every single time we do this, every 2 weeks here on Popcast Network. So that being said, stream intellectual property. And in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until next time, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.